This place is a disaster. Your face is cast in plaster and paper mache. She's just a renegade, sipping on her lemonade, chilling out in the evening shade. And you know death was made into a liar. He was thrown in the fire, and he tried to retire, but he couldn't get any higher. I couldn't sleep last week, I had problems. My feet hurt and my ankles swell. I'm pretty sure next week I'll solve them.
Welcome to the 2-Month Review, the weekly podcast brought to you by Open Letter and 3%, in which we take a giant book, break it down section by section, bit by bit, talk about it, analyze it, have fun, make jokes. This season, we are covering Ducks Newburyport by Lucy Ellmann. And today, specifically, we're going to be covering every page up till 621, essentially.
We're covering every page?
Every page. We're going to start at 1 and just go forward. I forget where we started, 562, 582, something like that.
This will be the James Bond marathon, the holiday James Bond marathon.
It's Thanksgiving. Why not? Why not?
Those Roger Moore sections are going to be brutal, but we'll get through it.
I've only watched like a handful of James Bond movies, and one of them was a Roger Moore one. I was like, this is so bad. So bad.
Oh yeah, they don't age very well.
No. Oh no.
Yeah.
Like not at all.
Super racist, super sexist. So much murder. He should have died of an STD like decades ago, but somehow James Bond is still around. I don't know. Yeah.
Live and Let Die is actually like an AIDS warning.
Gosh, yeah. No, Live and Let Die is really bad because that's where he goes to New Orleans, and that's really bad. That one's really, really bad. Yeah. Like super racist.
Yep. Good stuff. Good talk. Oh, and this is Brian Wood, author of Joy Time.
Oh, hey, how's it going? That only took us 30 seconds to go completely left field. Yeah.
This podcast isn't going to stay on the rails at all. I wrote a lot of notes last night reading this section that I'm pretty sure don't really make sense, but I'm going to use them anyways because it's my whole preparation. As you can see, I'm basically in bed still. It's Thanksgiving. It's kind of the holiday. It's the holiday's tomorrow, but it's close enough. So I figure it's a good day to just sit in bed and talk about a giant gargantuan book.
It's so weird reading this book over periods of time, how it affects you in different ways, or at least it affects me in different ways. So I've read it digitally, like off of a PDF. I've read it physically with a book. I've read it stone cold sober. I've read it drunk. I've read it tired. I've read it alert at different times of the day. And like right now, reading it as I'm cooking a bunch for Thanksgiving. Katie has a colleague that's from Europe, and they wanted to like have a real American Thanksgiving, and it was just going to be like her and I, and like really low key. But now it's like this big giant feast for 12 people, and like so I got to do like all the sides, all the junk. So I'm like not stressing over it, but like the way I'm connecting with this book in a certain way now because I'm trying to prepare this giant feast for everybody. It's like, well, wait, how the hell did I get wrangled into this in the first place? What the hell?
You're a domestic. What did she call herself? A domestic worker? Domestic engineer?
Yeah. Or later, a manual laborer.
Manual laborer as well. But I think her husband calls her a domestic engineer.
Yeah. But no, like I keep finding myself connecting to this book in different ways as I'm reading it. It's just. Maybe that's the product of it being so big, or it covers so much.
Everything is in here. Everything is in here.
Yeah, but to me, it's almost like it's such an intimate love letter that's written, in that torrent of consciousness. It can't help but connect with you in some way. And if depending on where you're at in your life, you'll connect to it in different. Like I think it's why it appeals to so many people. And it's just one, it's amazing, but two, like you can't help but not have it touch you or connect with you in some way.
Oh, absolutely. What's really funny about this particular section is that it's the first time that it mentions Guadalajara, which is where I'm flying out to on Sunday. And that has not shown up until yesterday. I'm reading like fucking Guadalajara too. Like, is there anything that's not in here?
That's crazy. Is that a Joan Didion book?
The Joan Didion book. Wait,
it's not called Guadalajara, is
No.
it? No, I'm tripping.
Yeah, I don't know what you're thinking of. We have a Key Manzo book called Guadalajara.
Yeah, it's a Manzo book. Oh man, I don't have the internet in front of me, but I know there was some Joan Didion book. That's the name of a South American.
Hold on, I will find it. You mean
Okay.
slouching towards Bethlehem, I assume.
Oh yeah, that's what I
That's
I thought
pretty
that was
much
a
the
city.
same.
Yeah. No, of course I didn't think it was that one. Come on.
I know. I'm just trying to. This is the first one that shows up, obviously. As
I'm
flipping through.
always wrong, but
Miami, is that the one?
oh yeah, that must be it. That's its own country, right? No, like I'm always completely wrong, but like in the ballpark, like just left of the foul
Oh,
pole.
Salvador.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, El Salvador. Yeah.
El Salvador. All right, my bad.
Not quite Guadalajara, but it's close too.
Sure.
He speaks Spanish there.
I didn't pick Berlin. Come on.
I've been doing Duolingo to brush up on my Spanish, and by brush up I mean reteach myself everything I used to know 35 years ago. And there's a meme of like the evil Duolingo owl, which is like coming after you and trying to and telling you like if you don't do your Spanish, your family will die.
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know what that. I have seen that meme, but I don't know what the owl lingo thing is.
So when my Duolingo Plus subscription my free subscription expires in a few weeks, I'm going to ask you to join, and when you join, then I'll get another month free, and you can see it, and you'll be like, oh shit, this owl is sinister. But,
so is that the Rosetta Stone for the next generation or something?
Yeah, it's Rosetta Stone for people who just want to do games on their app. You have no idea how deep I went into like the structure of how Duolingo works and getting like why I continue doing it, how it's gamified. There's like leaderboards that you move up, you get promoted to different leagues and get demoted depending on how much XP you get based on how many lessons you do correctly. And like there's all sorts of like layers to like getting you invested in this where you're like playing against people. And it's become part of my idea of how I'm going to create a very weird cult. Or actually, I don't want to create a cult. I want to create a series of jokes about creating a cult, which is pretty much the same. But XP, I think, is a huge portion of it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is where we're off the rails.
Dungeons and Dragons meets languages, I guess. All right.
Yeah, there's some point in time when I finish putting together like this 8-minute comedy bit on creating a cult, you'll hear it all.
Okay.
Unfortunately for you. Anyway,
so this section, right? We're on
there's
this
some
section.
shit happens. Like they get stuck at the mall. So this is a section that so we can recap a bit because there is actually like a couple things that happen in this section that move the quote unquote plot along. One being that there's a huge rainstorm while they're at the mall and they're trapped there and they're saved by. They end up going out and calling. God, what is his name? I want to say Ronnie, but is it Ronnie? No.
Oh yeah, the repair dude.
The repair guy that always comes out to why can't I remember his name? Where he always comes out and makes her uncomfortable, but he comes and saves them by driving them back home. His name is Ronnie. Yeah, that's right. And they have a harrowing ride home, but it's one of the funny where he's very angry, and I want to talk about that in a second. But it's very funny because this is another one of those sections where something seems to be in the present and then it's suddenly in the past, and maybe in the past by a lot. Like the time on this is so unclear to me, and I don't mind that at all. It's just interesting that it feels like one continual stream of consciousness, but it doesn't work that way with the events that are how the events are relayed. There's like some sort of on and off there. Yeah.
The fact that after Ronnie left, I got everybody to take off their wet duds, and that's when I realized Stacey was wearing her sexist Nazi POTUS t-shirt. The fact that if Ronnie had seen that, he might have dumped us all on the flooded underpass and driven away, screaming about "oh bummer."
That's I marked that as one of my favorite sections in this because it's so funny. But even before that, there's the great part where he's like yelling at the cops and complaining about everything. And he's like, the fact that he forced another car to swerve around us, the fact that he kept accusing other people of, quote, planning a left when they weren't. And then he say, quote, look at that, when they didn't turn left, as if they were messing him around personally.
How sad is it that like the easiest, it works every time, but the easiest low-hanging fruit joke you can do is sarcastically go, thanks, Obama. Like anything that happens in your life, like you can say that and it works because there's so many people that have that "oh bummer" or whatever just just stupid, like just stupid, dumb humor, right? It's like it's the political equivalent of "What's up?"
Oh, see, I was gonna say it's the political equivalent of okay, boomer.
Sure, yeah, that as well.
Shit. So I have a joke to share that has nothing to do with this book, although maybe it does because of parenting, and then I will actually legitimately give you my theory about something. But we because when you have babies, they send you magazines, like free magazines all the time, like Family Circus and Family Circle, I don't know, Parents, like shit, like basically like we're pretty sure you don't know how to take care of your kids. Here are some basic guidelines.
There's a lady in Alabama. Why'd you have a third kid? Well, my magazine subscriptions was running out.
Now,
oh yeah, I got you.
We can alienate Ohio. We can alienate Florida. Those Bama people are scary to me. Roll Tide. So you get these magazines, and this one the other day, whatever which one it was, had a little column in it that was like how to stay in touch with your kids, like what your kids are saying. It was like, what if your kid says which, do you know what this is?
No.
Oh my god! So it's a visco girl. It's this special type. I know this because Aiden explained it to me. There's this new trend that's like the morning routine video people called visco girls, that they use this particular filter, this app that creates this filter, and they love to wear like puka shell necklaces and drive Jeeps, and they say like SK over and over again as if they're too angry to like type things, and they say things like save the turtles and I oop is one of their phrases. It's the whole thing. There are think pieces on this in the New York Times style section. I'm not making this up.
Dude, it sounds like you're having a stroke right now. I'm trying to figure out what you're over here going puka shell necklaces, turtles, oop. Like, what the hell?
It's crazy. Ask Aiden, next time you see Aiden, ask him to be a visco girl and he will do this thing. Like it's
so wait, how is it? Are you saying like disco with a V at the
VSCO? It's like an app.
So there's like no vowels or like
no, there's a vowel at the end.
Yeah. I know, but like VSC, Visca?
It stands for something like visual something.
Sounds miserable.
Dude, it's super funny. And they want to say their line about saving the turtles is apparently because of recyclable straws. This is like this is their whole cause, celeb. Anyways, in the magazine, it explained like if they say this is what it is. This is visco girl thing, blah blah. But and then they sourced where they got this information from, and it's from this website called Stay Hip with 2 P's. I was like, wow, that sounds wonderful. So I went there to see.
That's like something a church would do. Kids zone with a Z, because kids with a Z is cool.
Yeah, and also like it's kind of like how a lot of places that have K's use too many K's, which always disturbs me. Like car care to be like KK, and like
yeah.
Don't do that. Like, don't brush up against that one.
Like in baseball, when they're putting out the K sign,
you just gets
a strike, and like, oh, here comes the third one.
Whoops.
Better put that one backwards.
Yeah, get that. So I went to stayhip.com.
Please get a 4th strikeout, please, because right now we're just kind of throwing out 3 on the balcony here, upper deck, and this is not a good look for us. This is Atlanta after all. Please.
We're here with John Rocker.
Yeah. All right. So you went to Stay Hip.
So Stay Hip, and they had their word of the day, and their word of the day was coomer. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know what coomer is. But I thought maybe it had something to do with like the okay boomer idea, like okay coomer, whatever. And I was like, what is coomer? So I clicked on it. A coomer is someone who's addicted to masturbating.
Oh, gross. Oh, okay. What the hell?
So yeah, so when you say okay bummer to okay boomer to okay coomer, all tracks in my head in the way that this book moves from one thing to another, which I'm going to give you my theory on how to.
Okay.
So I got really into this book last night, into like the structure of how the sequence of like the way the thoughts work, and that rather than that taking it like rather than just reading and like looking for the funny bits or for like what the quote unquote plot points or things that we could talk about are, I tried to look at it like sentence by sentence, clause by clause as to what they were doing, and to see if there was like a pattern that was discernible between how they work. And this is on page 612. I think you could do this at any section, at anywhere in this book, and that's kind of the point. But on 612, I realized that there's a shift in the nature of the sentences at the bottom of the clauses, and the subjectivity of the narrator that I think creates something that's really interesting. It reminded me of reading, I'm going to preface this all with like a lot of intellectual stuff to make it sound like I wasn't just fucked up. But it reminded me of reading Finnegan's Wake, where like every little bit you can take in a few different ways, and it sort of opens up the nature of the text itself, that there's connections that you can make as a reader that you don't have to get into, but when you do, there's a lot that can reward you. So starting at the bottom, she has this joke about the joke from Airplane, where she says something about, surely American corporations aren't allowed to just kill us. And I can't remember what he said, but it probably something like, yes, they are, and stop calling me Shirley, which I've heard that joke in Airplane a million years ago. And references. Okay. So
every boomer dad says that joke, right?
Oh my God. Yeah. That and say goodnight, dad, goodnight, dad, like whatever those kind of things are. Right after that bad dad boomer joke, it says it begins with the fact that then I talked to Kathy and she said not to worry about it. So there's a personal moment, like a personal recollection. So she talked to Kathy. The fact that police search body cavities, which is a fact, a statement. The fact that I may be wrong, but it seems to me the police are getting out of hand is an opinion. So all of a sudden it switched from like her personal recognition to a fact that police search body cavities to an opinion that the police are getting out of hand. Then immediately goes to an internal memory. Saturday afternoons in Evanston, organizing the neighborhood newspaper in our kitchen nook. The next fact is going to be one of erasure. The fact that I forget what we called it, like her subjectivity is, she's forgetting, and she references a lot of like not being able to remember certain things, and that's just sort of erasure of her consciousness or of the past. The fact that I forget what we called it. The fact that Phoebe wrote most of it is a second erasure, where she's like not even subject. So she's referencing that Phoebe was the one who did the most out of it. So she doesn't remember the name. Phoebe did the most. The individual subjectivity has gone from like this opinion about the cops going too far to near like erasure in this sentence. The fact that lead, nitrates, atrazine, magnesium, and fluoride are not good for the kids is a thought about the future, or a thought about a fact that like leads to a future thought. The fact that they say that only 0.2 ppbs of lead are safe, and our lead levels between 3.0 and 5.0 is an idea that the future in this fact is going to kill you. So there's a subjectivity that goes from like this personal, like a personal moment, and then she has an opinion, which then she sort of retracts by erasing herself twice, doubly, then goes back to a fact that has something to do with like the current state of the world, that's indisputable, that that lead is in the water, and that because of this, it's going to kill us. So it goes in this full circle from surely American corporations aren't allowed to just kill us to American corporations have basically tried to kill us. And it does so through like this weird construction of the subjectivity in that way. So I thought, wow, is this like a pattern of how this book sort of cycles? And I was like, I'll bet you can do the opposite too. We start with an opinion and then flip into facts that are dangerous and then move back out to it. And on the next page, it starts with the fact that I hope the Brita jug extracts the fluoride, potable scoop and chalk, reverse osmosis system. The fact that at school, though, they just drink from the drinking fountain like everybody else, and that the water must be full of lead. The fact that this is something I should bring up with the PTA is the I opinion making moment again. So it's another time that it's like her agency is there. So her agency is that I should bring this up with the PTA. The fact that maybe Amelia will get on her high horse about it is like a weird statement about her personal life or about a person that she knows. The fact that she'll sue someone. This then becomes like an idea of what this person could do, which then will become very dangerous. So any facts that can become dangerous. The fact that Oscar Wilde sued for libel and ended up doing hard labor, Soviet labor camps, co-pays, single payer, Affordable Care Act, all become things that are like dangerous. So the suit moves into a fact of danger. And then the erasure part where like the subjectivity gets eliminated again, this time takes the form of being not about her not remembering her past or not having done something, but about all of us not paying attention to our present. The fact that it's like suddenly finding out about macrophages and tardigrades, things you never knew were there, but they are. The fact that you think everybody around you is just dying of normal diseases, but then you start to wonder if maybe it was avoidable. The fact that something in the water in some places that they now think is connected to ALS, for instance, the fact that how did the polluters get away with it? The fact that you assume water is a basic human right is where this fact and this erasure of the human idea of like what the subjectivity is of what's going around us can only express itself in outrage. So it's a basic human right because you have to have it like the air, but what if your water isn't safe and the air isn't either? And food, meat, and fruit, the fact that they're trying to kill us. So I think this book has like two different types of subjectivity that go on in this pattern making, where when it becomes internal and she erases herself, it generally relates to like the past and ideas about like what her involvement is in her personal life. But within her personal life and within her personal small moment, she's being assaulted. There's lead in her water that's coming out of the tap. So there's like corporations are assaulting her personally. And then when you turn it into when she starts from like a personal recognition and moves out into like world facts, the erasure becomes like all of us just going along and being complicit and being like, yeah, do you guys even know that there's all this lead in your water, blah, blah, they're trying to kill us. And the only possible response when you think about the humanity as a whole is to be pissed and to be like, fuck the corporations for having done this. They fucked us. So I started thinking down these roads. I'm going to talk for a minute here. I apologize to everyone. Not great radio, but so I started thinking about this and thinking about how those things work. And I came up with this overall idea that this has to do, and this is where this is probably not the right thing for me to say, and I'd rather like someone who's a female reader respond or access this, but it feels like a particularly ingenious and female strategy to presenting ideas, where like if I imagine this woman, this narrator, having been beaten down by like dudes and the patriarchy and corporate capitalist things for her whole life. She's like my age. Like when she says she's in her 20s, when Columbine happened, I was 23. Like we're same age. I could see like at that point in your life, someone, a female that has multiple kids, that has been through all this, that like your voice isn't heard in the same way. So a lot of these facts, the erasure is part of like the natural order. She's a mom. People don't pay attention to moms. People don't pay attention to women in this way. She's a cook. Like all these things that are working against her voice being respected in society come to bear in this erasure. And that the way that she's using the idea of the fact that is really fucking subversive and really interesting when you think that she's slipping in the fact that with things that are indisputably true, like there is X lead in our water, but then there's a lot of the fact that are opinions or that are her way of sneaking in the narrator's consciousness and the narrator's opinion in there. And then there are ones that are not true that allow you to then maybe manipulate the minds of the Ohioans who might read this book to where they're like, oh yeah, there's lead in our water, get it, and logically believe everything else that comes after. Because there's a statement like a page later that says the fact that children develop their sweet tooth from breast milk, which is much sweeter than cow's milk, feels to me like it's a double, that's part of that's true and part of that's not. Like, I don't know if I believe that breast milk is sweeter than cow's milk, but is that really where like babies develop their sweet tooth from? That feels like there's too many like other possibilities that you could point to as a sign that's not scientifically proven, but that the narrator is using things like that to lull readers into a sense of like, here's all these facts. Now I can get you to be part of the revolution.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, I was talking with my wife, and she was saying when she's working at the hospital, and it's her chief year, so she's in charge of more people this year, but she carries around like hard candies, like peppermints or Jolly Ranchers or something, so that when she has to go around and like bust people up verbally, she'll take the candy and put it in her mouth when she's talking like, oh, hey, about that thing you did yesterday, like, and then like, you did it wrong, you can't do this anymore. Like, she has to do it with the candy in her mouth to make it seem more casual and more friendly, so that she doesn't come off like anybody else. Like if a guy doctor does the same thing, like, oh, that's leadership. If she does it, she's a bitch.
Oh yeah.
Like, so she's caught in this weird. So like her way of being able to confront people, like her strategy for it now is just like, yeah, you just pop a candy in your mouth when you talk to them, and like they take it so much better than if I just say it. So like she's gonna like get diabetes because she's trying not to be, quote, a bitch to people, when all she's doing is just
sugar-free, man, sugar-free.
Yeah, exactly. But all it is, like in the workplace, just trying to talk with somebody, but you can't because of the way they take a female opinion or a leadership or anything. Like it's insane.
And that's why this never has opinion. Opinion is always couched within the fact that the fact that Amelia would probably want to sue is not a fact. That's an idea. But like because of the rhythm of it, I think that readers who aren't sympathetic to the voice will become sympathetic to it.
like almost kind of like putting the peas inside the mashed potatoes and like here, right? I wonder too if we also get the like tick isn't the right word, but there's the repetition of where the next clause connects to the wrong word before.
Yeah.
And she'll say, you know, I meant this, not that. Right. Where it's kind of like it's a joke, like it's a repeating joke of, you know, I don't have an example right in front of me.
I don't either, but I know
if you've read up as 600 pages of this book, you've encountered it enough times where you know that, you know, there's the joke of, you know, like, you know, like an example would be like the fact that they're going to kill us all, not the pigeons, DuPont.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Or something like, you know, something like that. Like,
yep.
Yeah. So I wonder if that is also part of that, you know, according to the theory that you're throwing out here, if that's part of the way of kind of disarming the reader and allowing to, you know.
So there's a second page in which I marked up a bunch of stuff, but I didn't write down any notes from it. I don't believe that I had a lot of work last night.
That's fine. Can you repeat just real quick one last time? So you were finding the pattern that you saw was it starts with personal.
So hold on, I wrote this down. So the pattern that I saw first was personal statement. Personal
Statement. Okay.
Like a thing that's happening in her world. So it could be like, I have to go deliver the fact that Kathy is waiting for me to deliver my pies.
Yeah.
Like anything like that. That's like another, like she's a subject in the world. So personal in the sense that the character is real. Personal,
like totally germane, just boom. Yeah.
Yeah. Personal to an opinion about a fact. So, So like there's her thing. And then the next thing will be the fact that the police do cavity searches and I think they're going too far. The fact that I may be wrong, but it seems to me that the police are getting out of hand. And this is that even that I may be wrong is very much like part of this narrative strategy. But okay, so personal experience, opinion about a fact, a memory, and then the big one is the double erasure. Like every one of these seems to have two things that get erased. Like the subjectivity gets like doubly fucked. In whatever way that might be. And erasure is the only term that I could come up with that seems semi-academic and true. But like she'll say, I forgot, like I can't remember something. And that's like an erasure of like that memory. So you're unmoored for a second. And then it'll be like about someone else. So Phoebe did all the work. So I didn't even, I wasn't really involved. I don't remember it. I didn't do it. And then that usually switches to another fact that's like indisputable. A fact that's not in question. The earth is round. Like the lakes are big. Lakes are water. Yeah. Sorry. That one might not be true. And then
space is fake.
Space, everything. Yeah. Well, yeah, we live in a world of bullshit, man. But then it will lead from that fact, like after she's gone through her erasure, that fact leads into something that feels like it's a personal assault on her character. So like you can't avoid being attacked by these facts. The facts are dangerous. The world is dangerous. And there's like a danger within that. So like, I don't have an example in front of me, but I feel like this is a pattern that goes through of like her thinking about something. And then it'll be like thinking about her kids are going to school, go into some memory about when she was in school and they used to do the nuclear bomb test to like, there are shooters, there are open carry people, there can be school shootings. Like everything keeps circling around that way. And the other pattern when it's dealing with society is where it starts from the fact society becomes a we they situation where none of us are individual. We have no agency as individuals. We're all fucked. And the only thing we can do is be pissed about it, but we can't really do anything about it. Like, how are we going to change the lead in water? We don't even know. Most people don't even know about it. And they're killing us.
Yeah.
That's sort of so I think there's like a personal assault and a societal outrage, but both of these are ineffectual for one reason or another, and both involve the fact that the world is a very dangerous place for people that are just normal, going through the day, trying to make cakes to deliver and take care of their kids. We're being assaulted in very free. I think this book might be insanely revolutionary.
Sure. Check out this, as I was ignoring what you're saying.
Cool.
Check out page 583.
Okay.
Because I'm just, thinking about this pattern and like, okay. And obviously there's variation within it. But, the major notes of the chord, right?
Yeah.
So 583, I'll start with the right below ASP. The fact that some people started to cry. And when they cried, Jillian cried. Poor little Finette. The fact that it was a little alarming, the fact that she now says she was just worried for the ants, like if we never get home. Opal holding the fort. The fact that a lot of people didn't seem too bothered by it all. The fact that some people just can't stop shopping. It's a compulsion, propulsion, impulse buys, shopping sprees, shooting sprees.
There you go.
The fact that grandma never do well, brother. Uncle Budbar ran pinball machines in Detroit, 88. The fact that what does 88 mean and why do people have 88 stickers on their dashboards, right? We know that's Heil Hitler, right?
Yep.
The fact that did something important happen in 1988 that I've forgotten about?
Yep.
There's the
erasure,
the forgetting at the end.
Yep.
The erasure part.
Yeah.
And
So
then
like,
there's the danger. There's the personal. Okay, so I just randomly picked that. It's all right there.
I think that it's not that the pattern repeats itself in that way, but they're the way that I'm pointing out in this one section.
Those notes, those moves.
Just you can bucket you could bucket all the statements into a few different types of things. So there's the erasure, whatever. And then it's just like playing with those like a musical symphony. It really does remind me of that book. I mentioned this on one of our podcasts, the Jane Allison book, Meander, Spiral, Explode, where she talks about like the patterns within narrative. And this has one of those sort of patterns where it's like flowing like a river and cycling, flowing like a river and like repeating certain things over and over again, and has like a very natural flow for that reason. And I think I think it's a call to arms in the end. And
there is that map at the end where you see the the Odyssey of the lioness, and it's spiraling, right?
Yeah, like circling in a spiral, essentially.
Yeah, like meandering and looping and searching.
Yeah. So this was my big momentary breakthrough last night, I think. And I
think you could be onto something. I want to have to hit up some ayahuasca and keep this in mind and just see where the swirls take me. But I'm down for that.
Yeah. a little trip to Massachusetts, and you'll understand. Yeah, it was fun though. It's a fun book when you start to look at it that way too, of like, how is this woman's consciousness, and it just raised a lot of questions to me about like what you're saying about Katie and having to use the Jolly Ranchers or whatever to get taken seriously. Like the narrative strategy in here is so crucial to like this woman's viewpoint becoming accepted or getting accepted by people. And I'm imagining not like us reading it. I'm imagining like someone just hears that this book is really good. They live in Ohio. It's about Ohio, whatever. So they go pick it up from the store, from Barnes and Noble or Amazon, and they get it, and they don't know really what to expect. And most people in the world would probably be off put by this book. So we keep saying it's not difficult, and that's very true. But like, we're not thinking about like, the guy that lives across the street here in Rochester. That person, this book is like, fuck, they have no idea what to deal with. But like, if she's espousing opinions we both agree with, like, there's nothing that she said that I disagree with. Like, yeah, maybe personally, like, she doesn't like something that I like, whatever. But like the general facts and the general interpretation of America in 2019, I have no discord with her ideas. But
yeah, preaching to the choir for sure.
But the person across the street definitely does. And the only way that that's going to come across, I don't know who lives across. Fuck them. Whatever. They hate it. They're Trump supporters now. I don't know who they are. Whatever. It's a straw man. But there are people in Ohio. Certain.
I'm just imagining you as a community, like your neighbor waves. Hi, neighbor.
Someone's standing outside. Literally, that's why I said that. Like, I'm looking out the window. There's a person like that dude doesn't fuck.
Got your paper chat. I'll put it on the. Fuck you! Get off my lawn. Like, wow. Would that be your neighbor? Jeez.
But there are people who don't agree with this idea, this interpretation of America in 2019. And how do you then get this viewpoint across and break through that filter bubble that we have that surrounds the people? Last night I went to the Indian store, the India House, the restaurant that has the grocery store across the street, which is fantastic, by the way. I hadn't been in there in a few months, and like, they've revamped it and it's wonderful. And the Chinese store right next to it, wonderful. Highly recommend. But I was in there, and the dude checking me out was just a white, balding, middle-aged, kind of overweight dude who was watching Fox News live on his phone as I was checking out, buying like all these random spices, because I'm not making traditional Thanksgiving dinner. I'm making Indian food because I don't eat Thanksgiving dinner generally, and my kids definitely won't. But he's watching the Fox News. That guy will never agree with the opinions in this book unless the narrator presents them in a way that like sort of tricks them. So the fact that there is X, yes, this is indisputable. The fact that police do body cavity searches, indisputable. The fact that there is this much lead in water, indisputable. And then mix it in with these things that are the fact that, and it is an opinion, allows this woman's voice, this character's voice and her opinions to come through and to maybe convince this dude at the Indian place watching Fox News that, it's not good that Trump says grab him in the pussy all the time or once or whatever, you know what I mean? But like, maybe this is like, it's like, I feel like it's a really radical strategy that it's not difficult for us. And it's not because we agree with it all and because we're paying attention to it. But like the people who don't, I think it's a really interesting way to create a subjectivity and a character that has like a very strong political viewpoint and get that to be heard in a way that otherwise it can be very easily dismissed. And I think like that her adding the 30,000 words and making this 1,000 pages instead of 700 is a part of that strategy. Like, it's like fuck you. Like I can make a long book too.
Yeah. Well, and I want to, at some point, I'll go through and do it before we're done. But, you know, there is quite a bit. Like people dismiss it. Like, oh yeah, there's the part with the mountain lions. And I guess, you know, it's a few pages. It's probably, I would guess, like maybe 70, 80 pages of mountain lion.
Yeah.
It's its own like small novel.
Oh yeah.
But it's done so well, and it's like slid in so nicely and integrates wonderfully with what our narrator's doing that I think people forget. Like that's a big piece of this puzzle, so to speak, right?
Yeah, and it matches up in this section actually.
Yes, because the flood, right?
The flood and the flood. So, and there's also the people who find the cubs that are stuck in a tree.
Yeah, but imagine this is perfect for Thanksgiving because there's some of us are going to be at the Thanksgiving table trying to like don't bring up climate change. I don't even call it global warming because that's a triggering statement at this point, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's too loaded. Don't talk about climate change or anything because like nope. But what you can talk about is like where did this flash flood come from? Why does I'm not saying that was the cause of it, but you can't help but be wrapped up and like feel and be compassionate and empathetic with this mother trying to find her lost kids because the world has swept them up and taken them away.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in the same way, you cannot help but feel so much empathy and compassion for this mother that's fretting about this world is going to like take my children from me, and I'm scared to death about it.
Yep.
Like
exactly.
You can take politics out of it. Like it's this wonderful way of like reaching across the aisle in some way and get like we're human beings and this world is freaking scary. Like, let's help each other out here. Or what's the answer? Can we come together, figure something out? Like, I think it's a wonderful way of communicating that to anybody. Whereas, with the way news works or the way, academia works and like the cult, like it doesn't reach, it just preaches to the choir. Like both sides end up just messaging ineffectively to somebody else. And this I think is very effective because it's so opinionated and deep into the emotion of the narrator. It works really well.
It really, it's so cumulative and so interesting. Like I don't know. I really like it. I think it's fantastic. I know that you're gonna have to get going, so we might as well try and write up our favorite lines from this section.
And also I'm a really bad, maybe because I'm reading in all these different states that I forget stuff, but was this the first time we learned that Stacy was from another relationship? Or no,
that's been throughout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I had bombshell. I'm like, oh, I must have missed it then. My bad.
Yeah. No, that's been in there for a while because it's
with Frank.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Yeah. But there's a good part of the bug out bags in here, and like I really love, and I don't think I have a quote from here to use, but the fact that where she talks about like all the people who have all their like kits and are waiting for like the world to end, and it's like, man, don't you just want to use those? Like, aren't you gonna be
I know. I've got all these tourniquets and flashlights and fire starter kits, and I never get a chance to. When is the world going to end so I can just be in the woods with my backpack?
She's like, most people would just get food poisoning, which is 100% true.
How awesome is it? We called that like a month ago, right? Bug out bags, get home bags.
Yeah.
Because if you do open carry and you go down that wormhole, which I did, holy cow, it goes straight to like zombie apocalypse preparation. It's insane.
Amazing.
People are just nuts.
Her husband does call her a domestic engineer. I did get that right. Oh, I should read this part for you. The fact that maybe we should homeschool them. But homeschooled kids spend too much time with their parents and too much time indoors. The fact that I'd never get any pies done if I had to play school teacher as well as a domestic engineer, homemaker, pie maker, Sandy Hook, nickel mines, execution style. The fact that all the kids we know who are homeschooled are kind of crazy.
I know. That's why I told Kate, I will risk her getting shot. I am not homeschooling my daughter.
I can only domestic engineer so much.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite one? I'll leave it.
Yeah, I'll do. There's no way that Lucy could have known this because this came out after. But with Kanye West now being a Christian artist, I thought I'd do a Kanye West quote on 579 at the bottom.
I want it in my ear.
Okay, hold on. My daughter wants to have the headphones in her ear while we read this. Hold on. Okay, put it in your ear. Go ahead.
I can't.
There you go. All right. The fact that Stacy wants the same hiking shoes as Kanye West, but she's not going to get them. The fact that luckily she can't buy them at the mall. They're only available online with my credit card, which I'm not offering. The fact that I told her there's difference between us and Kanye West. The fact is that he is a millionaire or billionaire, and Leo's a college professor, and I'm a manual laborer.
That is perfect. It's absolutely
the fact that she offered to clean her room, but that's not going to swing it. And anyway, her room just gets messy in a minute. And the fact we can't simply afford things Kanye West hiking shoes, not with our medical bills and our house repairs and college funds, candy wrappers, goiters, moms with strollers. The fact that why does Kanye West need to sell boots anyways? She is so funny, man. She is so good.
That I wait till Isaac offers to clean her room to get something. That happens a lot around here. Where Aiden's like, I need a new Fortnite skin. You're like, no, you just spent $15 on Fortnite. Well, I'll clean my room, but like that doesn't do any. That's not a that gain. That's not, like your room should be.
Aiden, go be a coomer. Get out of here. Go to your room, Coomer.
Anyone who listened all the way through this. Okay, Coomer.
Oh dear.
Shit. So next week we're going up to page 700. I will be in Mexico trying to do this. We do have a guest that's lined up. This is a section that notably gets weird because you'll see that there is a list that's a list. That's no longer paragraph form. That's for a lot of pages of it. So that's interesting. But otherwise, you can always find us at Open Letter Books on Twitter and Instagram and wherever. There's a Goodreads group that is talking about this book slowly but surely. So anyone wants to jump in there, go find the Goodreads group for a 2-month review. And there's a thread set up for Ducks Newburyport, and you can throw in your opinions. If you have any questions, you can always contact us. Brian, where should they find what do you want to promote your book, and where should they find it?
The book is wherever books are sold. Don't buy it from Amazon. Yeah, don't buy it from Amazon. All right, that's all.
There you go. And you'll be giving a reading on December 7th.
the reading on the 7th at a local bookstore here, Sulphur Books.
It's a grand opening. You're underselling this.
Yeah,
grand opening.
Okay.
That you read.
Yes, and then there's a book launch party on the 11th in Rochester at Writers and Books. So if you're in the greater Rochester area, swing through. I'd love to chat or hang out or whatever.
Yeah, come on by. Okay, cool. You guys, I know you guys have to go, so I will talk to you soon. I've got nothing to add. I got no funny jokes as an outro this time.
All right, safe travels, Coomer.
Rolling CeeLo. There was a beach near Hilo, swimming with turtles who murdered what they couldn't corner. just run.